All right, guys, so obviously we're not in the lab today. Gonna be doing things just a little bit differently today. I realized that my kind of 1 month follow-up with the 13 Pro Max and 13 Pros, I have them both, was actually due like a week or two ago. I'm so behind trying to get caught up on these videos, but I wanted to still bring that out to you guys. Just been really busy with the holidays coming up, so me and the missus and the little one, the baby, are gonna be going to Disney Springs for the day, which I've been there before. I've done some shooting there before as well. You guys probably know the S21 Ultra Revisited. That entire video was shot there using the S21 Ultra. So literally gonna do the same exact thing with the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Also, we're gonna be picking up some Disney passes, some annual passes. So who knows, maybe we'll get some reservations. We'll be able to go to Disney today too. Honestly, not too excited about it, but the missus is a Disney fanatic, so we'll see how that goes. But like I said, guys, just wanted to bring y'all along for the ride, so here we go. But before we get into it, you already know, if this is your first time stopping by the channel, this is Ike's Tech Talk, where we cover the latest in tech news, reviews, and discussion. If that's something that you're interested in, do yourself a favor as always, hit that like and subscribe button down below. And with that being said, let's get into the follow-up. All right, guys, so here's an update for you. Battery is now at 91%, and we're looking at it's about 229. We got here at about 130. So with all the photos and videos and all that stuff that we've taken so far, we lost about 9%, like I said, which sounds about right in terms of how much footage I've been shooting so far and all of that stuff. So lost 9% so far. It has been about an hour, so that's always good. The camera, so I want to go ahead and touch on the camera shortly. So ultimately what I want to get across is in terms of this photo right here. I'm gonna flash it now. So this was with the ultra wide lens, and I kind of noticed this even before when I did my initial review, where sometimes the phone's camera will process certain images a little bit softer, and you'll even see towards the top of the photo where it's not just softer, but it's completely kind of overblown. It like literally gives that top a glowing type of effect, which is obviously not what it should be. Now, in the camera's defense, it was the ultra wide, and ultra wides are known to not be as good in terms of just overall camera performance than the main sensor. I didn't try to take the same shot with the main sensor. I wish I would have before I walked away, but just wanted to kind of notate that. I'll go ahead and also flash some other images that I took as well. That way you guys can see how the camera's been holding up. As you can see right now, it's a pretty overcasty kind of day. So if some of the HDR look in the sky looks kind of dull, there's 100% a reason for that. It's shooting it as natural as possible, and you'll see it is a pretty overcasty day. So like I said, can't complain too hard. Battery's been holding up strong. No overheating. I'm not expecting the device to really overheat, just because again, it is pretty overcasty. It's not too hot or anything like that. So like I said, check in with you guys in a little bit. Be back in a flash. Another quick note about the camera, guys. So I really don't think that, take that down. I really don't think that people understand how big of an impact photographic styles are. I talked about it in my initial review of 13 Pro Max, but it makes a huge difference, guys. You can literally go from getting, say, the iPhone's normal warmer tones that a lot of people, including myself, just aren't a fan of, to being able to just change the processing for every photo you take. And once you set it that one time, it processes the photo that way for all the lenses, your 3x, your ultra wide. So it's literally like a set it and forget it type of feature. And I know some people might argue, well, you shouldn't have to go into settings to change the processing, but I look at it from the standpoint of, well, your phone is giving you a feature or an option to tailor your camera experience. That's what we look for when we talk about Pro. So like I said, do I feel like just that feature warrants the Pro moniker? Absolutely not. Apple, you need a Pro mode on the video side. You have Pro Res and you have Pro Raw, but we need dedicated Pro mode for photos and videos. But I definitely would say photographic styles is a way more pro feature than what people are actually giving it credit for. So just want to give that quick update as well, guys. Hit you back in a minute. All right, guys, so it's a quick check-in. Pretty much still same time, same battery. Just wanted a quick update. We're gonna try to get into Magic Kingdom. Now, we didn't do a reservation. Shh, don't tell anybody. We didn't do a reservation. We're just gonna walk up and see if we can just scan in, and hopefully they'll let us in. I'll be able to get some more footage kind of for you guys. If not, man, it is what it is. We'll just head home, but hopefully we'll be able to get in. So I'll let you guys know in a second if we're able to get in. All right, guys, so it's 6:11 and I'm still at 63%. Just doing another check-in here. It is now dark, so time to get it time to go in with the nighttime footage. So here's some nighttime video on the selfie camera, 13 Pro Max. Again, it is 6:11 and I'm sitting at 63%. So really good in terms of the battery life. In terms of the video going into low light, I already started to notice it. I know people are gonna say other phones do it, but the lens, like the little lens reflection bubbles, oh my goodness. No other phone I have accentuates it as much as the 13 Pro Max. The Pixel 6 Pro has it a little bit more too, but the iPhone seems to do it the absolute most. I don't know why. I'm guessing it's something to do with the physical hardware and the sensor. It is what it is. But like I said, so far I've got some really good shots, some really good footage in terms of video. So I'll definitely be making sure I kind of scroll those over so you guys can take a look. But besides that, man, everything has been fantastic. Also want to point out in terms of low light video, I was really impressed. I went to the Frozen sing-along show. It was awful. Good God, it was awful. Anyway, but the Frozen sing-along show, and I'll roll that footage here and you'll see it did a really good job in terms of noise reduction. Now, the video itself was a lot darker. So while it was darker, to reduce some of that noise, a lot of the times what you see on Android devices is they'll crank up that ISO a bit. So when you crank up that ISO, you're introducing more noise into your footage. So it's kind of one of those pick your poison kind of things. In this particular instance, I think the iPhone really nailed it and really did a great job in terms of keeping the shot bright, visible. You can still see everything. Even in some areas, like the whites were kind of overexposed a little bit too in the video, but the dark areas were really, really dark, not a lot of noise. So definitely was impressed by how that came out. I will check in with you guys right before we head out. So like I said, again, it's doing really, really great, guys. Back in the flash. Okay guys, so as you saw, we did make it into Magic Kingdom. It was way too many people in there, man, to be trying to shoot and talk to you guys and all that stuff, and I didn't want you guys to kind of be yelled at by me while I'm trying to talk over everybody else there. So I didn't do too much filming in terms of like updates and stuff like that. So I wanted to at least close out the night with you guys. We made it home. It is 10:51. It's 10:51. So 10:51 currently, and I'm currently sitting at 22%, man. So just think about it. We started this journey at, say, 12:30 with 100%. It is now, we'll go ahead and round up and say 11 o'clock, which is literally 10 hours later of pure, photo and video usage like crazy. It goes without saying, man, but I could definitely say the 13 Pro Max is the battery champ. I don't think that there's anything else coming out later this year or towards the end of this year or anything like that that's going to beat this phone in terms of battery. It is that good. So it's definitely the battery champ for sure, man. I had an absolute blast on it. I just want to touch really quickly on nighttime footage and photos. So right off the bat, in terms of photos, the more that I've used this device over the last, say, month or, almost 2 months or whatever the case may be, I'm starting to understand what Apple's approach is in terms of low light photography. Now, regardless if I may or may not agree with it, is not the point. I understand what they're trying to do. If I don't agree with it, which, spoiler alert, I still prefer what Android manufacturers are doing on their end in terms of night mode, but what Apple's philosophy is trying to keep the scene nighttime, right? So you're gonna get those darker shadows. Now, this can sometimes work in their favor, and then you'll see other times where it completely works against them. So I'll go ahead and show an example of both. So you can see in this first example where I took a picture of this sign, and the darkness and the shadows kind of add character to the shot. And I particularly like that. But then if I switch it over and reverse it to this statue of Gaston, you can see where the shadows kind of make you lose out on detail and what you're trying to capture. So with Android manufacturers, they're more so trying to brighten up that scene to give you as much detail, and that way you can see as much as possible. Right now, this has its pros and cons on both sides. On the iPhone side, while you do lose some of that detail, when it comes to, say, the Pixel, for example, because that's the phone I was using last before I switched back and started using the iPhone. But with the Pixel, what you'll find is in night mode is that it'll take a significantly long time to expose compared to the iPhone. So the iPhone may take 1 second or 2 seconds. The Pixel's gonna take, say, 5 seconds or maybe like 4 seconds. Now, this automatically sounds good because the Pixel's taking longer, but you also got to remember you're trying to hold still that entire time. So you're sitting there trying to hold still, you got these micro jutters in your hand, your photo's not going to come out as sharp as if you have a shorter exposure. So as with anything in life, man, you got pros and cons on both ends. It's kind of a pick your poison type of situation. Me personally, like I said, I do lean to preferring the Android side. However, I do see where it could kind of benefit you to have that shorter exposure time, especially if, especially if you're getting a not necessarily a darker image, but you're getting a sharper image because you're not, holding the phone too long or whatever the case may be. So like I said, two totally different philosophies in terms of what they're trying to do. I don't think either is the kind of like overwhelmingly correct way to do it. I think it's just two different ways to try to solve the same problem. They both have issues, they both have strengths. So ultimately, like I said, what it comes down to is just really picking your poison and which one you prefer. But besides that, battery life was on point, the cameras were great. At this point, I've already flashed, I know, tons of samples and stuff like that for you guys to see. But like I said, I had an absolute blast taking this out with me for the day, man. The iPhone is definitely, I would say, looked at as being a very boring device, but I always try to tell people when it comes to devices, boring doesn't always mean bad. So just because something is boring doesn't mean it's bad. And I gotta say, this iPhone 13 Pro Max is probably my favorite iPhone that Apple's done in quite some time. We had some pretty underwhelming years. I would say this year is definitely an A+ year from Apple. So that's gonna do it for the video today, guys. But as always, this is Ike's Tech Talk. I will catch you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.